Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 40, Punishment and Reward of Kali. Puna cha yachamanaya jatarupam adat prabhu tata. Oh, I see. Amuni pancha stanani hi adharma prabhavaha kali otareyena datani nyavasat tan nidesha krit amuni pancha stanani hyadharma prabhava kali otareyena datani nyavasat tani deshakrit amuni panchastanani hyadharma prabhava kali otareyena datani nyavasat tani deshakrit amuni panchastanani hyadharma prabhava kali otareyena datani nyavasat tani deshakrit. You'll have to turn the volume on the box. We can hear now from the Zoom.
Amuni panchastanani
Amuni panchastanani
yadharma prabhava kalihi
yadharma prabhava kali
otareyena dattani
otareyena datani
navasatani deshakrit
nyavasatani deshakrit.
Amuni panchastanani
Amuni panchastanani
yadharma prabhavakalihi otareyena datani nyavasatani deshakrit.
Amuni panchastanani Ayadharma Prabhu Vahakali
prabhava kali
Uttarayana Datani Navasatani Deshakrit
deshakrit.
Amuni panchasthanani
Nani
yadharma prabhavah kalihi autareyena datani nyavasatan nideshakrit.
nyavasatani deshakrit.
Amuni panchastanani
Amuni panchastanani
yadharma prabhava kalihi
dharma prabhava kali
autareyena datani
otareyena datani
nyavasatani deshakrit.
tani deshakrit.
Amuni panchasthanani
Panchastanani
ayadharma prahavakalik
prabhava
alter Ultarayena Datani Nivasatan Nadishakrit
Amuni Panchastanani
Muni Panchastamani
Yadharma Prabhava Kalihi
Prabhava Kalihi
Uttarayena Datani
Uttarayena Datani
Nyavasaktani Deshakrit
Vasatani Desakrit
Muni Panchasthanani
Muni Panchastamani
Yadharma Prabhava Kalihi
Dharma Prabhava Kalihi
Uttarayena Datani
Uttarayena Datani
Yavasatani Deshakrit
Vasatani Desakrit
Amuni Panchastanani
Muni Panchastamani
Hyadharma Prabhava Kalihi
Dharma Prabhava Kalihi
Uttarayena Datani
Ani
Yavasatani Deshakrit
Vasatani Desakrit
Amuni Panchastanani
Muni Panchastamani
Yada Dharma Prabhavakali
Prabhava Kalihi
Uttarayena Datani
Ani
Nyavasatani Deshakrit
Satani Desakrit.
Is there anyone on Zoom?
Amuni Panchastanani
Muni Panchastamani
Hyadharma Prabhava Kali
Kalihi
Aruttarayena Datani
Ani
Navasatani Deshakrit
Ani Desakrit.
Amuni Panchastanani
Panchastamani
Yadharma Prabhava Kalihi
Dharma Prabhava Kalihi
Uttarayena Datani
Ani
Nyavasatani Deshakrit
Amuni, all those. Pancha, 5. Stanani, places. He, certainly. Adharma, irreligious principles. Prabhavaha, encouraging. Kalihi, the age of Kali. Uttarayena, by the son of Uttara. Datani, delivered. Nyavasat, dwelt. Tat, by him. Nideshakrit, directed. Translation. Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Purport. Thus, the age of Kali began with gold standardization, and therefore falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution are rampant all over the world, and the saner section is eager to drive out corruption. The counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thus the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. So, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the age of Kali began with Kali taking shelter of wherever there is gold. So, wherever there is gold, there are these things become rampant. Falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution. So we see that those are going on all over society, and it makes the world actually hell for devotees and the, as Prabhupada says, the saner section of people. Now that doesn't mean it's the worst thing, because a devotee doesn't mind whether they're in hell or heaven, as long as they have the service of the Lord, like Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, in the role of a devotee, prays in his Shikshastrika prayers. He doesn't mind whether he's in hell or heaven or wherever, he only wants the service of the Lord. But we see it's a very degraded position, this age of Kali. The saner section are in a lot of distress because there's only irreligious principles. Everything is more or less flipped upside down. All the good things are seen as bad, all the bad things are seen as good. So we see there's falsity. We can see that everywhere, whether it's in like a political field, people running for president, people running to rule the whole country, just lying the whole time. Or the next one is intoxication. We see that every day. They're saying legalize this, legalize that, make that one legal, make that. And like this intoxication is just sold all over the country. Or given away freely. You go to the college and you set up a book table to distribute Prabhupada's books, and then next to you there's just like a free coffee table. Any like group or organization, just some random people giving away coffee. So there's the intoxication. Animal slaughter. I didn't know it was possible to not eat meat growing up in America. So that's animal slaughter. They convince people from a young age that it's essential to slaughter animals. And then prostitution. Describes a definition for prostitution in A Second Chance, a near-death experience, which is a very nice book, speaking about a Jamil. And he explains that this mentality of, I'll find some, I'll attract some man, and then I'll test him, and I'll test many of them and see, well, the one that makes me happy, then I'll marry that one. And then while that's going on, the men are running around trying to enjoy as many women as possible. And he said that these mentalities are, this the same thing, that's prostitution. So that's pretty much, that's what's advertised in modern society through movies, TV, every song. So the saner section is eager to drive out this corruption. We see that actually, we go to some of these different music festivals, or what else? Different big events. We went to a vegan fest recently, wherever there's a lot of people. And you'll see people do have some activism kind of tendency to get rid of some of these things that are going on. The saner section. So like we went to the vegan festival. So the people who aren't eating the animals, they also have this desire to get rid of this animal slaughter. Everyone was getting up on the podium there and giving some big speech about how they became a vegan. And the topics were supposed to be to get rid of like animal killing and these kind of things, but most of the people I noticed, they would just get up there to brag about how healthy they are now and how great their life is. So it wasn't the purpose of it wasn't really served so well. But we see people who are becoming a little bit saner, they actually want to do some good in the world. I remember giving a book to someone at a music festival, and they were saying, man, every year we come to this place and it's such a great property. It's like in the forest. It's so nice. But look, these people are just leaving garbage everywhere. It was the last day of the festival. He said, there's all this trash, leftover tents, empty cans and bottles. You know, this is terrible for the environment. Don't they appreciate what this music festival is doing? Why would they leave all this trash? And so he was taking it upon, it was just two people, they were taking it upon themselves to try to clean up the whole thousands of people area music festival at the end of the day. So that was nice. They had some eagerness to get rid of that hypocrisy there, where people wanted to come enjoy this event, but then they want to leave it all nasty afterwards. But all these different material activism things can't actually give the full solution to all of these problems, namely falsity, intoxication, animal slaughter, and prostitution, and many more. But all these things are increasing people's attachment to the material world and making sure that they take birth in the lower species after this one or go to hellish conditions. So we want to solve that. These material stopgap measures can't solve it. And I had this Prabhupada quote specifically about this. Let's see. Where is it? He was explaining how this mundane activism doesn't exactly solve the problem. Sorry, I might have lost it. Well, sorry, I think I lost it. But yeah, the point is, these material problems, these material solutions don't actually solve these problems of the age of Kali because, okay, now I know where it is. Prabhupada was explaining that these material solutions is actually another form of sense gratification. So someone might think, well, if I donate to like a Save the Whales cause, or I build some schools or hospitals, how can you say that's sense gratification or selfish? We're not going to solve the overall problem. And then here's a nice answer. Okay, he was explaining, that is, we are earning money in order to gratify our senses. If one is virtuous, he engages in pious activities. He donates money to charities, opens hospitals, schools, etc. Although these are certainly virtuous activities, they are ultimately meant for sense gratification. How is this? Isn't that surprising? If I open a hospital, it's ultimately meant for sense gratification. Does anyone have any idea how that's possible? Yes, Rshi Prabhu?
Actually, I was doing something good. I'm so good, man. And in this way, in a mode of goodness, you are enjoying the fruit of your activities.
Yes, some honor and prestige in this lifetime to make me look like I'm the really nice person.
And even they can think, that, okay, I will do this, so I will enjoy in the next life, if they believe in reincarnation,
That's the point that Prabhupada makes here. He says, if I donate to an how is this? If I donate to an educational institution, for instance, I will receive good educational facilities and will become highly educated in my next life. Being thus educated, I will attain a good position and will acquire a good amount of money. Then how will I utilize this money? For sense gratification. Thus, these virtuous and fruitive activities form a kind of cycle. So that was the quote. That was in the small yellow book over there, Path of Perfection, with the meditating silhouette of a person in front of a city, chapter 2. So we see these material solutions, they're not the real solution, and also it's another form of sense gratification. So if I do some good in this lifetime, I get some good result, either in the future or in my next lifetime. And that's also another reason why it's not nice, or it's not the best thing, because it'll also, whatever fruitive activities we do will keep us in the material world. So we have some bad karmic activity, we have to stick around to suffer the results. But also, if we do some good karmic activity, we have to stick around to enjoy the results, or so-called enjoy the results in the next life. So this isn't the ultimate solution, because it's just keeping everyone in the same sticky situation, but just changing their roles. I might be the rich guy helping the poor guy in this lifetime, and then 120 years later, now I'm a 30-year-old poor guy getting help by a rich guy, or whatever. Just changing changing the roles, but in the same bad situation. So we want to set up society in such a way that people can get out of this bad situation altogether and not take birth again in such a bad condition. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, the counteracting process is suggested above, and everyone can take advantage of this suggestion. We also see many ways that these material solutions don't even solve the whole thing that they're trying to solve. Can anyone think of a good example of some kind of cause or something where they try to solve? I've got the idea in my head. I can't think of a specific example, but there's so many times we see someone tries to solve some problem, or some organization tries to solve something, and then it's, okay, I just thought of one. Back in middle school, when I was in middle school, there was some guy on the news, and all over the world, it went viral. He had this cause to like help children in Africa or something, give them food or clothes, or help them come to America and get a job or something like this. And everyone thought it was so wonderful. It's the best thing. And everyone was donating it. Oh no, it was Coney 2012. So there was a guy in Africa killing a lot of people and like enslaving children and whatnot. And his name was Joseph Coney. So a man in Florida made this whole cause with inspirational videos to stop this guy, Coney. And everyone donated all over the world. People were so enthused about this thing. And there were shirts that said Coney 2012. Everyone's giving this man in Florida their money to get rid of this guy, Coney, and protect the children. And then 1 or 2 months later, the guy who started that foundation was running around naked in the street in Florida on a bunch of drugs. So these material solutions and things, we see them also fall through pretty often, even in the small sphere that they're trying to help. So Prabhupada says the actual solution is mentioned above. Here it is. The state which wants to eradicate corruption by a majority may introduce the principles of religion in the following manner. 1, 2 compulsory, we read this a couple of days ago, 2 compulsory fasting days in a month, if not more, parentheses austerity. Even from the economic point of view, such 2 fasting days in a month in the state will save tons of food, and the system will also act very favorably on the general health of the citizens. 2, there must be, and so we know when there's intoxication, we saw in one purport, it diminishes austerity. So if people are able to engage in this austerity, then kicking out the intoxication part, that also becomes automatic. Girls attaining 24 years of age and 16 years of age, respectively. There is no harm in co-education in the schools and colleges, provided the boys and girls are duly married. And in case there is any intimate connection between a male and female student, they should be married properly, without illicit relation. The Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution, and this should be abolished. So this is really important so that all the people of society don't degrade each other and then create what Arjuna was concerned about in the Bhagavad Gita, Varna Shankara, or children with demoniac mentalities because they were born out of lust and other bad propensities. So this one is actually really important. We saw in a previous paragraph also that the association between the two sexes outside of marriage is not a good thing. And I thought this one devotee worded it in a really nice way. Mahotsa Prabhu, I remember in one of his Srimad Bhagavatam classes, he was saying sometimes people think, or like when women come to the temple, they might think, oh man, this guy or these guys hate me because they don't look at me or talk to me or whatever, or treat me like people usually do. But he was saying that actually in Krishna consciousness, it's not that somebody hates women, but the way he said it was really nice. He was saying, I don't want to, he said, I don't loosely associate with the Matajis that come here because I don't want to ruin their life or also ruin my life. I thought that was a really concise way of explaining that. And then, so that was the second one, compulsory marriage for these specific ages. And if there's any intimate connection between male and female student in the colleges, they should be married properly. And then the Divorce Act doesn't need to be there because it encourages prostitution. So, and then number 3, the citizens of the state must give in charity up to 50% of their income for the purpose of creating a spiritual atmosphere in the state or in human society, both individually and collectively. I heard Vaisheshika Prabhu explaining in this one lecture that when grihastas who are opening a business or doing some sort of work, if they begin, like planning beforehand, if they begin that work with this idea already there that, okay, we're going to give 50% of it for propagating Krishna consciousness. We'll give 50% of the money that's earned for spreading Krishna consciousness. He said, and there's many devotees there at the ISV. He was just speaking from personal experience. He was saying, we see that when they start off like that, those ones usually do better in business and they're usually more successful and less stressful. Where he said when people think, okay, we'll work, and then once we're able to start giving 50%, then we'll do that. He said they usually have more difficulty, just from his personal experience there with all the devotees who come through there. So I thought that was encouraging. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam by A, Karma Yoga, or doing everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. B, regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam from authorized persons or realized souls. C, chanting of the glories of the Lord congregationally, at home, or at places of worship. D, rendering all kinds of service to the Bhagavatas engaged in preaching Srimad Bhagavatam. And E, residing in a place where the atmosphere is saturated with God consciousness. If the state is regulated by the above process, naturally, there will be God consciousness everywhere. And then there's just a little further on this, I'll just read as the last thing. If one actually desires, this is on a different text. If one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western countries, many young boys and girls who had been addicted to drugs and who had other bad habits, which they could not give up, abandoned all these propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is the perfect method of atonement for actions performed in the modes of passion and ignorance. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1-19 confirms this. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama loba dayas chaye cheta eter anavidham stitam sattve prasidati. As a result of acting under the modes of passion and ignorance, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But When one takes to the process of chanting and hearing about Krishna, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya. Thus, the knot of his desire for fruitive activities is cut to pieces. So this is how the world can go from this hellish condition to a very nice condition that's suitable for Krishna consciousness, for realizing the Supreme Person and going back home, back to Godhead. Sorry that we didn't have time for questions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. And we have some groceries in the car to take out. Sunday